The World War that never ended, how WWII still shapes today's politics. We've all seen the black and white footage, the grainy images of a world at war. Explosions that ripped apart cities, soldiers marching across continents, world leaders with weary faces signing treaties that promised peace. World War II, a conflict so massive, so devastating, it's hard to even imagine. It officially ended in 1945. But its impact? Yeah, that never really stopped. From the global superpowers calling the shots today to the conflicts erupting across the world right now, even our modern political landscape is still shaped by decisions made nearly 80 years ago. So how does a war that ended decades ago still control the world we live in today? Let's find out. From rubble to rivalry, the rise of superpowers. Before the bombs even stopped falling in World War II, a new battle was already brewing. Picture this, American and Soviet troops finally face-to-face in the ruins of Berlin. It should have been a moment of unity, right? The Allied forces standing together, having vanquished evil. But the tension? You could cut it with a knife. After 1945, only two giants remained standing. The United States, riding high on victory and economic might, and the Soviet Union, its military hardened, its ideology spreading. America, with its shiny new capitalism, became the leader of the so-called free world. The Soviet Union, shrouded in secrecy and driven by communist ideals, took control of the Eastern Bloc. And just like that, the Cold War began. A battle of ideologies, of espionage, of proxy wars fought on distant continents. The bomb never dropped, but the fear, oh, that was always there. Today we see it in the frosty relations between the US and Russia, in the conflict in Ukraine, in the constant maneuvering of NATO. The world had fundamentally changed and we're still living with the consequences. The United Nations Peacekeeper, or puppet show. World War II was a brutal wake-up call. It showed us the terrifying potential of our own destructive power, the horrors we're capable of inflicting on each other. So naturally, we decided to create an organization dedicated to, not doing that again. Enter the United Nations. In 1945, representatives from all over the world came together, signed the UN Charter and vowed to work for peace. But there was a catch. The very countries that had just spent years bombing each other into oblivion, they got to be in charge. The UN Security Council, the big dogs who get to make the real decisions, is still made up of the victors of World War II, the US, Russia, China, the UK, and France. Economic giants, military dwarfs, the curious case of Germany and Japan. In the aftermath of World War II, Germany and Japan were shadows of their former selves. Cities lay in ruins, economies were shattered, and the world looked upon them with a mixture of suspicion and pity. They had lost the war, and with that loss came a hefty price, the right to be military superpowers. Germany, divided and occupied, had its military ambitions severely restricted. Japan, under a new constitution imposed by the victors, renounced war altogether. Article 9, a radical clause in their constitution, essentially declared that Japan would never again maintain a standing army. Stripped of their military might, both countries poured their energy into something else. Rebuilding. They embraced innovation, invested heavily in education and technology, and focused on becoming economic powerhouses. Fast forward to today, and the transformation is astounding. Germany, reunified and prosperous, is the economic engine of Europe. The Dragon Awakens, China's journey from humiliation to superpower. World War II was a time of immense suffering for China. Invaded by Japan, torn apart by internal strife, the country was a shell of its former self. Millions died, its economy was in ruins, and the world saw it as a nation on the brink of collapse. The war ended, but China's troubles were far from over. A brutal civil war raged on, ending in 1949 with the Communist Party in control. For decades, China remained isolated, impoverished, a sleeping giant struggling to find its feet. Through a series of economic reforms, China opened up to the world. It embraced capitalism, albeit with Chinese characteristics, and its economy exploded. Factories sprung up, cities boomed, and a nation that had once been synonymous with poverty was suddenly a global manufacturing powerhouse. Today, China challenges the United States for global dominance. Scars on the map. World War II's legacy of unresolved conflicts. World War II wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a seismic event that redrew the map of the world, often with little regard for the people caught in the middle. And those hastily drawn lines, those compromises made in the name of peace, they continue to haunt us to this day. Take, for example, the Indian subcontinent. In 1947, as the British Empire crumbled, they hastily partitioned India into two states, India and Pakistan. The goal was to create a peaceful separation along religious lines, but the result was chaos, violence, and the displacement of millions. The partition of India left a legacy of bitterness and mistrust, leading to multiple wars between India and Pakistan, both armed with nuclear weapons. The disputed region of Kashmir, a mountainous paradise claimed by both countries, remains a flashpoint, a constant reminder of the unresolved wounds of the past. Then there's the Middle East, a region forever scarred by the aftermath of World War II. The creation of Israel in 1948, intended as a homeland for the Jewish people, after the horrors of the Holocaust came at a cost, the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. Living in the shadow, is World War II really over? We look back at World War II with a strange mix of horror and fascination. It's a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for destruction, but also a testament to our ability to overcome even the darkest of times. But here's the thing, we tend to talk about World War II in the past tense, as if it's something safely confined to history books and documentaries. But is it really? The world today is still grappling with the long shadow of that conflict. The superpowers it created, the United States and Russia, still eye each other with suspicion across a divided globe. The unfinished business of World War II. So there we have it, a whirlwind tour through history, from the battlefields of World War II to the geopolitical chessboard of today. We've seen how a conflict that ended over 75 years ago continues to shape our world in profound ways. We've explored the rise and fall of empires, the birth of superpowers, and the enduring legacy of unresolved conflicts. Understanding the past, grappling with its complexities, that's the first step towards creating a better future. So, let's keep asking the tough questions, let's challenge the status quo, and let's work together to build a world where the horrors of World War II are never repeated.